Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is your teacher for today. My name is Umar Tabrez Shami, and I will be teaching you two topics in our course Communication Skills. The two topics that I will be covering will include first one will include resume writing. Inshallah, I will teach the students how to write the cover letter, the resume, what to write and what not to write, and then we will discuss a few samples. We will discuss a few good samples of a resume and we will discuss a few bad samples of the resume. The second part that I will be teaching my students will be interview skills. So we will discuss some interesting interview situations. We will discuss some interesting interview tactics and some talent and some patience that the students must comply with. Anyway, that is a later lecture. So today, however, we will start with resume writing. So in resume writing, before we come into the details, what is a resume? Resume represents the potential employee data. It represents the education. It represents the interest. It represents the previous work done by a certain person. These resume, they are read by human resource managers, the HR managers, or the competent authorities that give a certain job to a person. This job can be either full-time job, a part-time job, or even a contract. So we need a resume. This resume shows the details of the person as a human being. Now, why are we studying resume? Because a student, a fresh student, after graduating from the university, applies for certain jobs, and the application of jobs are not verbal. They are always written. They are always in a written form. Either it can be a piece of paper where we apply for a certain for a certain job, or even online also. Now a resume gives the job giver the important information regarding a certain person. So the information put on your resume should be very relevant, and they should be presented in a very professional manner. Remember that while the job giver will not just be a commercial company, it can be higher education, or it can be a government institute, a commercial institute also, and the resume is read by professionals. These professionals, they read many resume. But we have a limited time. So while designing a resume, we must not forget that we only have very small time in which our resume will be read by a potential HR department or a potential job giver. Therefore, the resume should stand out. It should be attractive. It should be an appealing resume. We should also find new ways to write or to write attractive expressions only for one goal, that the student or the job potential job employee gets invited for an interview. And then lastly, your resume must look professional and that of an educated and trustable person. So the resume that you write for yourself, it should look very neat and clean. It should look very professional. It should give a glance of the person that this applying person is an educated and a trustable person. Right. Next slide. Now we have some general rules of the resume layout. The following are general rules that how the resume should have the layout. What is the general layout, or what is the general format of writing the resume? First of all, what is the resume length? The resume length. The first general rule is what should be the length of the resume. You should only go for 2 pages. Initially, your resume should only be 2 pages long. However, if there is something really special that you would really like, and it is very significant that people should know of a very special talent you have, then you can always increase the resume length. Remember that the human resource managers or the hiring managers in big firms, they read many resume every day. They're not really interested to learn your personal life or your personal story. Generally, 2 to 3 pages will be enough for your resume. Second part is clear section heading. Clear section heading means first we go for the name, then your address, your email, your contacts, and then your education, and then certificates that you have earned. We must write very clear cut headings of what things you want to present. And the third is that in the resume, we must leave out enough white space, especially around the margins. The fourth is the resume should be easy to read. We should choose a font which looks very professional. It should look very neat and clean. The font should not be of any comics. It should not be stylish font. So it should be very easy in a professional look. Fifth point is that the size of the font matters. If you use too much large size, then it depicts that you think that the viewer has some viewing problems, so he cannot read correctly. So you must choose a very decent size font. In that case, 10, 11, 12 points from Word will be enough. And then six, always save your resume and also distribute your resume in PDF format. So Word, although Word is a popular alternative, but it has a good chance, but in Word there is always a chance of disturbing the resume formatting. So PDF will be a very safe way to distribute your resume. So any questions so far?
I said that
Can you please?
please repeat the fifth point.
What should I repeat?
Font size. So
Okay, so the question is that can you please repeat the point? Now, let us again repeat the general rules for any resume layout. So these are the rules that indicate what should be the good format of your resume. First rule considers the length. A good length of the resume generally includes 2 to 3 pages. 3 pages will be enough. But I've also said that if there is something really special, or you have some really special talent, or you have some done really special work previously, then you can always increase the page length. But we must bear in mind that the persons that who hire, the hiring companies or the HR managers, they really just want to have a brief overview and then decide whether this person should be invited for interview or not. Then comes the section headings. We must be very clear on these section headings. In your resume, each component should have a clear cut heading. For example, your name, your contacts, your email, your mobile phone number, your LinkedIn contact information. They should have a separate headings. And then comes your education, your inter education, your university, some special certificate that you earned during your university or out of university, and then the work that you have done, any previous business activity if you have performed, or any if activity, other job oriented activity have you have performed. It should be entered in a clear cut different section. Then is references, that people who are the list of people or prominent people that you know who are willing to give a sportive call on your behalf, or it will cast a trust factor on the potential employers. Then the third point is that we must always write neat and clean, and we must always leave enough white space on the margins. Then the fourth point is that the font that you choose should be readable. It should look very professional. It should not be stylish. It should not be of any comic font. And your CV or your resume should look very neat and clean. And when you present your CV on hard copy, then that paper should be a very neat and clean paper sheet. The fifth point is that the font size that one chooses, it should be a very decent font size, and that font size ranges from 10, 11 or 12. And then finally, when you save your resume, and if you want to distribute your resume, you must save and distribute in PDF form, because Word is also a good form, but Word, when we transfer our Word file, there are many chances that the formatting gets disturbed. So we must bear this in mind. Now we come to the next slide. What to write and what not to write. Resume content, what to mention. In this slide, we will discuss what to mention in your resume. The most popular sections of a resume are contact information, professional resume summary or objective. This is very important. Number two. Then, third is the work experience, or it may also include your achievements or any some internships that you have done or some other part-time jobs you have done. And then fourth is your education, your schools, then your A level, your O level, or your metric, or your inter exam FSC, and then your professional education, your university education. Then comes your skills, the things that you are good at, especially computer skills, or especially some skills that are not of your basic education, but they are earned, and that they will be add in extra value added to yourself, to your own brand. Six is optional sections include languages that you know, your publications, if you are interested in writing research papers, your publications, and then your hobbies, that what you like and how you like to spend your free time with. Let us discuss each section one by one. Contact information. This contact information section includes your name, your email, your telephone number, and then your LinkedIn information. But it should not contain too many information, like if you're using Snapchat, or if you have some other ID, your WhatsApp ID, that will be too much of information. Your basic information, that if someone wants to contact you, so you should provide only your basic information. Providing too much information will consume more of the CV, and in fact, it will bother the CV reader or the HR managers. Remember that it is you who are to be employed, so you should give enough information, but not too much information. Okay, second part is professional resume summary or objective. This will be 2 to 3 lines of what are your objectives and how you want to grow professionally. This will be a very small paragraph. It will indicate that what are your interests, how you want to apply your study, how you want to apply your professional studies to your career. So it will be your goals, your objectives, your targets, what you want to achieve in life. And this should be written with very serious and very thought provoking manner, because people, the HR manager, read the objectives of a certain person, and if those objectives they match with their company needs, then there are many chances that the student or this person will be hired. So we should take this second part, the objective or the professional resume summary, very seriously. It should be very simple. It should have no jargons. It should be written in a very professional manner, and it should not be too long either. Right. Then comes the third part, the work experience. The work experience includes, if you are a working person already, that what type of job you are doing already. If you have done some internship, then what was the internship, and what was your job nature, and for how long you did the internship or the job itself. And then you must also indicate whether this job, it was your first job, your second job, or your third job. In the job section, the work experience section, we can also write the achievements. If you have done some extraordinary work, if you have written in an extraordinary research paper, or if you have done some very interesting, useful work that has contributed to the society, that has contributed to people, and people enjoyed your work, then this is also mentionable, and such achievement should also be a part of your resume. The HR managers, when they always look at the jobs done by by the person previously. They always go through seriously that what is the job the certain person has done, what is his work experience, is his work experience any good for us, how can we take advantage of his work experience. So this work experience will matter and we should write it very carefully. At the same time, your work experience should never include any false statement. We should never lie at any stage of the CV. We should never misguide the interviewer. We can never lie. We can never misguide. We can never claim any false achievement in your resume. It will create a very bad impression of yourself, not just while getting the job, even when you have got the job, even after 2 or 3 years. If somebody claims that you lied in your CV, it will bring a very bad name to the person itself. So making false statements in the CV, lying the CV, writing something that is not true should 100% be avoided. We should not even think of making false statements. We should not even think of lying in the CV itself. And if you don't have any work experience, okay, that's fine. Get some work experience, do some achievements, get some extra work experience, either online or offline, so that you are able to write on your CV. It can be only for 1 month also. That is good enough also. So that doesn't matter. But we should always say the truth. We should always say the truth. Then comes the fourth part, the education, your schooling, then comes your college life, and then the subjects that you took in school, the subjects that you were good in. You can always write any positions, if any special position you held in a certain subject, that will be your education part. Then comes your college education, then comes your university education. And if you achieved any gold medal or any dean's roll, honor roll during this college or university, you can always mention this. And again, education should also always be only be the relevant education. That is, we should only mention our traditional education, not any education that we go for, especially like learning a car or driving license. That should not be added. After education, we can write the skills. In the skills part, fifth is the skills, that if we know some any computer language, or if you know how to do some other job except for our education, then we can also mention this in the skill section. And then optional section has languages, the language that you are able to speak, read, write, and the publications if you're written in a research paper, and your hobbies. Right, next, what not to write. So this is very important. We must also know what not to write in the resume itself. We should avoid lengthy stories about yourself. So too much information is also not required. We should avoid giving overdue information about yourself. Then second is avoid fancy font text sizes or fancy font text designs. Avoid spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes. This should be emphasized. Spelling mistakes should be highly avoided. Grammatical errors should be avoided. Inaccuracies about your qualification or experience. That if you are not certain about some qualification or your experience, just don't write it then. You should write only the truth. And then unnecessary personal information. Your basic contacts will be enough, but your personal information, that how many brothers sisters you have, that's really unwanted. Okay, then comes negative comments about a former employer. This should be highly understood, that cannot, if you had a bad experience with a former employer, then you should not highlight this bad experience, or you should not give negative comments about a former employer, because this is what your new employer will think, that if this person leaves this job, then he will talk bad about us also, and he will defame the company. So they will not hire any person who is already a negative commenter. So avoid negative comments about a former employer. Details about your hobbies and interests, that's really not wanted. Only the titles, the hobbies that you have, but going into their lengthy details is not required. So avoid giving too much detail. Avoid giving too much detail about your hobbies or interest. Then always avoid passive language. Avoid passive language. Instead, use active verbs. Use active verbs. Use verbs that describe that you are an active person. Okay. Okay, then avoid using small fonts. That if you have so much things to write, then don't cover it up by using small size font that make it difficult for the reader. So do not use small size font. Use normal fonts that are easy to read. Then finally, there is some miscellaneous extra contents that you should avoid. Um, Go through them, go through your CV many times. Uh, Remove unwanted content, remove redundant writing, make your CV straight and simple. Okay. Okay. So these were the things that we should not write in the CV itself. So, just to have a glimpse of what to do and what not to do in your CV. Remember that do check for grammar and spelling very carefully. No one likes a sloppy CV. Check your CV that it does not have grammar mistake or spelling mistakes. Don't repeat everything you have already wrote on your CV. Do not write again and again the things that you have written already. Instead, expand on the details on your resume that need more insight. Then, do use active voice for a more powerful impact. This is very important, that use an active voice instead of a passive voice, for that will create a more powerful impact about yourself. This include using words such as increased, maximized, modified, fostered, generated, spearheaded, etc. So use so it is recommended to that you should use active voice. Don't use negative word even when talking about something positive. For example, I have an aggressive passion. It is not appropriate. Avoid words like bad, fault, mistake, and problem. So don't be aggressive. Don't use negative even about things that you do in a positive way. Okay, then fifth is do keep it simple and straight forward with aligned headings, a simple classic font, and a structured layout. Always think about your CV, always think about your resume, how to write. You should have a clear cut image and how to make it very simple. Okay. And then don't try to get creative with images, distracting text such as underlines and bold, italics, or trendy job titles. Don't use any cartoons in your CVs. Don't use any images that you find attractive that will make your CV. No, it won't. It will not make your CV attractive. Your text, your writing will make your CV more attractive. Okay. Okay. Then comes quantify your accomplishment. How to then in your CV you must quantify the things that you have achieved. You must quantify your accomplishments. This is the most serious component of your resume. By representing the value you can bring to a company, your resume turn out to be meaningful, more attractive, or hiring to hiring managers. So your accomplishments will be your value, and it is those accomplishments that you write on your CV that will be read by managers who are going to hire, and they will figure out whether your accomplishments are meaningful to the hiring company, or if the company can take benefit of your talent or of your work experience. So we must quantify them. Then categorize suitable matrices. Instead of listing tasks, include professional achievement that are value added and specific to each role. This is very important. Second point is also very important, that instead of listing tasks, use matrices, use or categorize suitable matrices. We can also include professional achievement and those achievements that were not in your job list, but you did them as an extra add-on value for your own personal self. So this can be your accomplishment also. Third point is highlight numbers, include percentage, highlight numbers, include percentage, quantify how you have reduced expenditures. Well, this is a quite this is an commercial way to highlight yourself and project yourself, that use numbers, use percentages, and quantify that how much achievement you have got. Or in a certain job, if you decrease the expenditure, then that is an your accomplishment also. Then comes categorize the challenges you came across, list the action oriented steps you took to use your skills, and quantify results you accomplished. It's always wise to write down a list of your accomplishments, that the challenges that came in the way and how those challenges were dealt with, the skills that you develop to overcome challenges can also be a part of your resume. And then finally, we come to a sample resume. This is a made up resume, it's not real, but it includes the major sections that we have done today. First, we can see the name of the person, the qualification, the major qualification, that is electrical engineer. Then comes the summary. That is, the summary is the objective or the goal of the person who's applying for a job. Then comes the skills, the competence. Then comes the professional experience, the job he has done, and then the previous job that this person has done, and then finally is the education. So, any questions so far?
Sir, can you please zoom in, sir? We can't read anything.
Actually, this figure is of low resolution. In the next lecture, I will try to take a sharp image of this and then share it with you.
Sir, is there any difference between resume and CV?
Resume and CV are the same thing.
सर सीवी में तो वो नहीं होती ना लिमिट के कितने पेजेस का होना चाहिए, वो तो हम जितनी मर्जी लिख लें.
नहीं नहीं, रिज्यूमे और सीवी दोनों को आप कोशिश करें कि 2 से 3 सफ़ों में वाइंड अप करें. देयर इज नो नीड टू राइट लॉन्ग स्टोरीज अबाउट योरसेल्फ. ठीक है,
जी
तो
सर.
2-3 सफ़े इज इनफ. 2 to 3. फोकस मोर ऑन, बिकॉज जितनी ज्यादा बातें आप लिखेंगे उन सब का आपको जवाब भी देना पड़ेगा.
जी सर.
चले ठीक है, फिर वी विल स्टॉप ओवर हियर. आई विल ट्राई माय बेस्ट दैट दिस लेक्चर विल बी अवेलेबल ऑनलाइन. ठीक है फिर क्लास, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर टाइम. Read some online material related to resume writing. In the next lecture, inshallah, I plan to teach how to write a cover letter. I will show more interesting resume, and then we will come to interview skills. Okay? So thank you very much. We will meet in a new class. Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.